Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
All right, it's Wednesday night, Gridiron Grinder time. I'm Ryan. With me, as always, is my buddy James. Just a couple of dudes talking about what's going on in the NFL each week. Uh, this is episode 96, and for tonight, we're going to do a recap of the 2022 NFL Draft, and we're going to highlight our favorite picks from rounds two or later. And so we'll go through our normal agenda for the show. We'll start things off with Name That Stadium. Then we'll do a recap of the news from around the league. Then we'll hit our main event and do our favorite picks. After that, we'll close things off with Question of the Week. And so, with all that being said, how's it going tonight, James?
It's going all right. It's been a annoying day, but that happens when you rely on apps to deliver your food.
Yeah, technology. It's good until it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
I got you. Well, cool. All right. Well, hey, why don't we let's jump into Name That Stadium. And so, James, if you don't mind, why don't you let everybody know what we're doing with Name That Stadium, how all that works?
All right. So basically, I kind of travel around. I go to different stadiums. We're mostly different stadiums every week. Kind of. There tends to be a theme to the stadiums I pick, and like in the off season and in the regular season, it's a home game that week, and then whoever picks or guesses first where I am gets a special shout out in the following week's episode. And so last week I was in Carolina, and I picked Carolina because it was I thought Carolina had a solid draft. I thought I was between them and Baltimore as probably my top two drafts for the week, and I knew that tied into the question of the week, so I just rolled with it. Just so I went to Carolina. Didn't feel like Baltimore.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and I think this is a part of the show that maybe has had a little more success in the regular season. Things seem to kind of tail off in the off season here, but it's a fun little game we play. And so, if you think you know where James is at, hit us up in the comments section. All right, let's move it on here. Looking at the news from this past week, James, what are some of the things that have stuck out for you, man?
It's the off season, so there's not much. Apparently, like we talked about this a while ago with when Urban Meyer was in coaching the Jags, like how fucked up everything was. But apparently, Josh Lambo is suing the Jags for Meyer's misconduct of like kicking him and telling him to
Oh,
fucking make
yeah.
the field goals and this and that. And like, I mean, it's a whole fucked up situation. Like, I can't really honestly believe that a head coach in the NFL would do that to their fucking kickers. Like yeah, Lambo said he wasn't kicking them hard. He definitely felt it, but I mean, what this is, it's just kind of bringing back to like the whole Urban Meyer debacle in Jacksonville.
Yeah, it was a disgraceful short run. I mean, man, it just, it just disrespectful, kicking a player. I mean, come on. It just, I don't know. It's wild, man. It's wild.
Yeah, outside of that, you had a couple signings like Mike Davis was signed by Baltimore, but then
Man, that's a
immediately,
busy backfield.
yeah, and like immediately after that, he his house was robbed of jewelry and his cleats.
I saw something about that with the cleats, and I thought, holy cow, man. Yeah, I just feel bad, like the poor guy, dude. I mean, they're even taking your cleats.
hmm And then there's uh Sony Michelle landed another busy backfield landed in Miami,
Yeah,
and it's like they signed Mostert. I forget who else they signed.
Edmonds.
Edmonds, and now they have Sony Michelle. It's like last year I was bitching in the draft after the draft, like why the fuck didn't you draft a running back? You need a running back, and now they have their choice of running backs. Which, I mean, Michelle probably hasn't had the career everyone thought he would have, but I mean he's
Mhm.
still you know top top 30 running backs in the league. So, and then Mostert, like I mean, they have three running backs that probably fall somewhere between 16 and 30 in the league. Edmonds should be top 10 if he's utilized correctly. So it's like that's just a busy backfield too.
Yeah, and you know that Mostert is going to fit that offense well, having been paired with that head coach out in San Francisco. And so,
Yeah.
um, everybody's just going to these like just crazy running back by committees, and it's a bummer. I mean, we talked about it. I was hoping to see Edmonds get more of kind of like a lead role, and that didn't happen in Arizona. It just seems like he just never had the chance. So, you know, but that's all right. That's just the way the game is now, and it is what it is.
Yeah, and then the big one, which it won't necessarily affect this year, but like the biggest like news is apparently Tom Brady signed a 10-year, $375 million contract with Fox once he retires to be their head analyst to take the Troy Aikman role,
Oh
and
wow.
so which I mean, it sucks for whoever they're going to put in there alongside Burkhead for this season because Brady's not going to play much more after this season, maybe 1, 2 seasons, and then he'll have 10 years, he'll have like $37.5 million a year to call games, which I don't know if it's like you got to try him out first and give him such a big contract right off the bat. Like it seems a little like Fox is trying to become relevant again with it.
I got you.
Because I mean, I've heard like he had a podcast or not a show on sports talk or Sirius XM, and it was terrible. It was the
You're
most
saying Brady did?
yeah, and it
Oh,
was
all
it
right.
was the most boring sports talk radio show I've ever heard.
Ah, yeah, 10 years. I mean, I guess it's just bargaining power. He's like, hey, if you want me, you gotta pay up and you gotta lock me in long term. And um, yeah, I saw that. I didn't know it was for 10 years and I didn't know the amount, but it's frickin' Brady, man. Yeah, and then yeah, whoever's gonna have that spot this year, you just know you got to make the most of it because it's got to be sort of like a stepping stone to something else because you're getting pushed out as soon as he's ready to go.
Yeah, I mean they're probably going to do this year with Greg Olson because that's who Burkhart. I think it's Burkhart who's becoming their number one play-by-play guy. That's who he was paired with like the last couple of years. So it's just been an assumption that it's going to be Greg Olson. Or was it just last year? Which I mean, Greg Olson did fine. I mean, he had some kinks that he had to work out, but I mean, he he did real. He at least they tried him out. Like they tried Olsen out in like the regular season while he was still a player, like their bye week, and he did a good job. And
Yeah, I tell
so
you, Romo, man, he's impressed me big time. I like watching Romo doing it. When Witten was giving it a rip, I kind of thought, that was a tough one.
mhm.
You could just tell it wasn't like a natural fit for him. But you know, everybody's got a different skill set, and it's cool when it works.
Yeah, it is, and like Brady's contract. I believe Romo's last contract, it was 16 or $18 million a year for, I want to say it was 10 years.
Okay.
And this last round, and Brady's contract is double that.
Romo's got to re up, man. He's got to say, look, he might have been better on the field. I'm better in the booth. Pay me
Yeah,
that money.
I mean it's obscene how much broadcasters like the top broadcasters are getting paid, but it just shows you how much and then how much ad revenue they're getting and how much like just to the rights to broadcast the game is like $1 billion a year for these channels, and then you're paying hundreds of millions of dollars to your analysts. So it shows you how much ad revenue they're getting.
All right. Well, I just changed my question of the week as I was thinking about some of the stuff, but it might seem stupid, or it just is what it is. We're going to switch it on the fly here. Okay, yeah. So in other news, I saw Jerry Hughes, defensive lineman, signed with the Texans. He was with Buffalo for a while. Solid guy. I know getting a little bit longer in the tooth, but I, James, I got to tell you, man, I'm actually like fairly happy with what I'm seeing with Houston in this offseason. I think they're making some like sneaky good signings, and I think they had like a sneaky good draft. Um, you know, they have a ton of needs, but they're like I think like filling them pretty well as best they can. They just need them all to work out.
Hmm. Yeah, I, I missed that one, but I mean that's a good fit for that defense. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of skimming here, seeing what else is out there for us to hit on. Yeah, I think that's good. Good for my end. Oh, well, did
Yeah,
we talk about the James Bradbury thing? Well, we said last week that he was expected to be released, and so that's actually happened now.
yeah, that
Um,
happened on. I think they waited till Monday.
yeah, and so with that one, I mean, man, I looked at it and I kind of thought, geez, like every time I see these moves, I think about like, oh man, should the Lions get in on this? And we need a CB1, and we could go get this guy potentially and get the CB1, but we'd be paying a ton of money. We'd basically be maxing out our cap. Um, I don't think the Lions will do it. It's like, man, if you wanted to try and make your team relevant this year, this could be one of those signings that if it worked, could really boost your defense.
Hmm.
I mean, he's not like a total game changer on his own, but when you don't have a CB1, getting a CB1 can make a world of a difference.
Yeah, but like the issue is the Lions are like a year, 2 years away from being having real hopes of being in contention, and that's when you need to go out and get like some of these players. And I think they'll just be paying. They'll have to pay, like show the progression, start to get better to attract a free agent as opposed to way overpaying for the free agent.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Slow and steady, get it right. I do wish that they would have maybe filled a couple more holes in free agency, but it's tough when you're in a rebuild like this. It's hard to attract people, and then like you're saying, you don't want to, basically blow all your dough until you're really in the position to do it. I look at what Cincinnati did the last couple of years, where they landed a handful of guys in free agency and it worked out. Then they landed a few more and it worked out. And then the next thing you know, it's like all of a sudden things are looking really good. And it's like, well, if you're not even taking those shots, you don't even really have the guys in the system to like re-up them for a bigger deal. And so but it's all right. It's working. They're going organic, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed.
And then, oh, the thing I missed is this. It's tomorrow night, the schedule release, and that there's been leaks here and there, and like the one thing I like of what I'm hearing about the schedule is on Christmas Day they're having 3 games going directly at the NBA because traditionally Christmas Day belongs to the NBA, and that
Okay.
one of the games are is in Los Angeles where the NBA always has a game in LA on Christmas Day. The Lakers are somehow involved in the Christmas Day games for the NBA, and the NFL announced. I think it was the Broncos at the Rams for Christmas Day.
So what do you think? It's some interleague beef going on here.
Well, it's
NFL
like
flexing some muscles, like, hey man, we're gonna get the views.
yeah, it's the NFL knows they're king. For a while there, like up until probably like 2008, 2010 area, there was never a Sunday or a Monday night. Was Sunday or Monday night? I know for a fact they didn't have Sunday night games during the World Series because World Series games like the Major League Baseball always had a Sunday night game for the World Series, and then the NFL said, "Fuck this, we're just gonna go right directly at you because we know we're king and we'll get the viewers."
Yeah, it's like, hey, if we're the top dog, why are we bending to everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Exactly.
well, I mean, I hope they do what they think is right for the league and for their fan base. And, if it upsets MLB or NBA, you know, it's kind of like, okay, may the best man win. If your fans want to watch your game, cool. If they want to watch our game, so be it. We'll fight it out. But I don't know. I'm a huge football fan, obviously. So
Yeah. I don't know how much football on Christmas Day I really would be watching anyways. So
yeah,
uh,
that's a tricky one. Maybe when we're older, I don't know. Even then, probably we'll always be with family. So I
yeah.
don't know. Yeah, and then it's different because like Thanksgiving, I think it's like assumed, hey, we're watching the Lions game,
Hmm.
and but I guess it's I don't know. How do you start that tradition on Christmas too? It's a little harder of a move.
Well, this year it happens to work out because Christmas Day is a Sunday.
Okay.
So they're leaving three games on Sunday. CBS, Fox, and NBC are all having one game on Sunday each, and then the rest of the slate's going to be on Christmas Eve.
Gotcha.
So, but it's like last year Christmas was on a Saturday, and they had a couple games, and apparently it worked for them. I wasn't able to watch the games, but I think Detroit was one of them last year.
Yeah, people were digging it.
I want to say it was Detroit and Houston on Christmas Eve for some reason, which doesn't make sense because like they were two shit teams last year.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look. I'm not sure.
Okay, it would have been week 16. Or it was a potential game. It might have been the year before,
Okay.
actually. Yeah, last year was 49ers, Titans, Browns, Packers, Colts, Cardinals. So it must have been the year before. Because I remember being uh, up in Cambria on Christmas. It was the day after. Oh no, it was Saturday. It was the day after Christmas. It was the Buccaneers and the Lions. So then I must have been remembering right though for 2021 that let me check that.
Sure.
Yeah. Lions and the Falcons. I don't remember. But yeah, so Lions and the Falcons was that week for last year. So I don't know. I'm remembering something fucked up.
Yeah, it's all good, man. All right. Well, hey, why don't we kick it over and we'll do our 2022 NFL draft analysis and give our favorite picks from rounds 2 or later. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right, man. And so we can do this whatever way you want here. I kind of got mine organized by round. We can do it by position. We can jump around. We can do whatever the heck. What are you thinking, man?
We can. I'm good to go by round.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's do round. Let's start at we'll start with the hot stuff. Let's start round 2 and we'll work our way down. I think there's picks in every round. And why don't you take it off here, man? Give me your favorite pick from round 2.
My favorite pick from round 2 is Sky Moore being drafted number 54 overall, which was what, 22nd pick of the second round
Okay.
to the Chiefs. I think Sky Moore and his skill set is very similar to Tyreek Hill's skill set, and I think Sky Moore has a little development to do to become Tyreek Hill. Look at that. My order of food fucking finally arrived, but that's another story. Uh, but Sky Moore has a skill set similar to Tyreek Hill. He can stretch the field. He can make those home run plays. He has a little bit of development to do to be Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek Hill wasn't Tyreek Hill instantly. And since they have similar skill set, I don't know how much. I don't think it's going to be much of a drop off down the line by not paying Tyreek Hill $30 million a year like he wanted and trading him instead.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. They had a need there, and yeah, they got it in the second round. That's if he can fill that spot, that's a good fit. I went with offensive lineman Luke Goedecke from Central Michigan, and I know you're going to think I'm just a homer for doing it, but he was picked 57 overall by Tampa Bay. He played right tackle at Central on what was a stacked offensive line, and he's got, I guess you would say, one of his only real knocks, other than being from a small school, is maybe shorter arms than people would want, but which is also kind of why they're expecting him to kick in and play right guard most likely for Tampa Bay, which arm length probably won't be an issue there for him. Um, I think he gets in there, and I think he starts right away. I think he's going to be rock solid. And I know I'm a biased Chippewa fan, but also because of that reason, I get to watch these guys a little bit closer than others. And I saw just how awesome that offensive line was. And I think this guy could have a pretty much instant impact in have staying power in the league. You know, you land a good offensive lineman, they could be on your squad for a long time, man.
Oh, I'm right there with you on Kentucky or whatever. I'm right there with you. I think I had him like second, third. Like I had two offensive linemen as 2 and 3, and I thought they were pretty interchangeable.
Yeah.
But I thought that was an excellent pick. I
All right.
actually with ahead of him, Cam Jurgens, who is number 51 overall to the Eagles. I think he's Jurgens from Nebraska. He'll eventually be Jason Kelsey's replacement. He's freakishly athletic, according to this quote from Kelsey on this guy. This guy is a freak athletically. He has the best chance to be a difference maker at the center position. I like this kid a lot. I really do. And so you still have Kelsey there. He can groom him to be his replacement, and it's just as
Yeah.
the
Yeah. There's
rarity of a player campaigning for the team to draft his successor tells you a lot about what Cam Jurgens can potentially do in the league at the center position.
Yeah, and I was just reading that they're saying he could start potentially at one of the guard spots this year
Mm-hmm.
because they think he's that good, and then move over to center when the time's right. So I like that pick. You know, another one I liked from round two was George Pickens, the wide receiver out of Georgia, going to Pittsburgh at 52. You know, Pittsburgh, they've got a knack for finding wide receiver value in the draft, and I think Pickens possesses those traits of what you need to be a wide receiver one in the NFL. And, you know, they're in need of a wide receiver one. They've got a lot of changes going on the offensive side of the ball. If Pickens can develop into that guy, you know, getting him in round two, that's pretty good value.
Yeah, yeah, I like that pick. I was surprised. I was kind of surprised that Pickens lasted the second round. Um, right on the same page here. That would have been my next one. So
Oh, yeah.
my next one, since you took my next one, I'm gonna go with and this is the last one from the second round that I really really like, James Cook.
Okay.
I think James Cook is, yeah, it's Delvin Cook's little brother, and everyone's going to call him Delvin Cook's little brother. But I don't think that's going to last very long. Once they see him in the NFL, I mean, he's a big play threat. He he has strength running through contact. And he worked on that specifically last season and improved immensely, and he can either play in the backfield or he can play the slot receiver position, and which will be impressive to see.
Yeah, I like the pick. I also am just curious how much they'll use him because of it, it's tough with Josh Allen being just like the focal point, kind of like the be all end all of that offense. I would like to see them get the running back more involved. I think it would be good for the team to have that extra element. And in the past, sometimes it was kind of hard to tell. Is it because the running backs just couldn't get it done, or is it just because it's all about Josh Allen? But I like James Cook, and it looks like he can do a lot to help him out. So I think that's another good one, man. Okay, well here, let's go to round three, and I'll give you my first one from round three. I got defensive tackle Travis Jones, picked 76 by the Ravens. This was, man, I mean, just like another one of those like steal picks. The Ravens just had guys fall into them left and right in the draft. I mean, it was we talked about it last week, but Travis Jones out of UConn, he's this massive defensive tackle, nose tackle. He's going to come in and he's going to help fill some of that void from Brandon Williams going out into free agency. And I mean, this is just, it's like a classic Baltimore move, man. They go out and they nail a guy who can have an impact right off the bat, and they got him in the freaking third round.
Hmm. I think I, for my number one, it was N'Kobe Dean
Okay.
from Georgia. Like I was shocked he fell to the third round, and apparently the reason he fell all the way to the third round is there's some sort of medical concern with him.
Yeah, pectoral injury.
Yeah, I didn't delve into it much, but and, he's a little bit on the smaller side for a linebacker, but I mean he's he was the leader on the defense on Georgia, which won the national championship, and defense won the national championship for Georgia. And he's sure tackler, and he probably closes faster than most people that play the linebacker position and on those tackles. So I really like that pick, and like I said, I thought he would easily have gone in the first round, and to get him in the third round, I think is probably one of the biggest steals of the draft.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can't believe he fell that far. And I mean, we talked about it when he slid into the second round. I thought, wow, the Lions got to be taking this guy, and it didn't happen. And then I heard about the pectoral thing, and yeah, his doctor like sending something to all the teams trying to clear him, and just everybody was spooked. But I think third round, great spot for Philly to roll the dice, and if it pays off, it's gonna pay off big for them. That's
Hmm.
awesome. And so I'm going to go back to the Central Michigan well here, and I'm going offensive tackle Bernard Raymond. He was drafted 77 overall by Indianapolis, and I actually thought the Central guys were going to be flipped. I thought Raymond was going to go in the second round, and Gadecki was going to end up going in the third, just because of one basically grading out as a tackle at the next level, and the other grading out as a guard. I thought that would have kind of changed their value a little bit. Either way, I think both these guys landed in great spots, and they both have perfect opportunity. Raymond, he's going to Indianapolis that needs a left tackle. He's actually replacing a Central Michigan tackle in Eric Fisher, who's no longer with the squad. Um, and he could start out of the gate. Now, he is a high school transfer student from Austria. He played at tight end before moving to the offensive line. Great size, physicality, and extremely good movement skills. Um, it's just very short playing career in football. And so the Colts, you may have seen it, James, recently. They just brought in Dennis Kelly. They could potentially be using that as a move to kind of help ease Raymond into that starting lineup. Either way, I think they found their left tackle of the future, and they got him in the third round, which is just freaking amazing.
Yeah, you're right. Like I didn't know much about about him going into the draft. I I didn't have him on my list, but the next person I had on my list was Desmond Ritter, being drafted at number 74 to Atlanta. I really think the more I dive into Ritter and his capabilities, I told you, I told you going into the draft, like Desmond Ritter reminds me a lot of Josh Allen, and he has that mentality. He has pocket poise. He'll benefit from the play action and elements of Arthur Smith's offense. Uh, and possibly, I really could see Desmond Ritter challenging, probably not winning the starting role, but challenging Mariota for the starting role. Plus, I think Mariota and Ritter can play similar styles to where the offense, if when Mariota gets hurt, like he inevitably will, Desmond Ritter can just step in and they won't have to change the offense, so they'll have that consistency there. I just think it's the perfect situation for Ritter to excel.
I gotcha. And yeah, how long do you think it takes before he's got the starting job? You know,
I I could see him potentially starting week one. So
okay. So you think it'll be soon, like in the first quarter of the season at the
first
latest?
first say by the halfway point.
Okay.
It depends on when Atlanta's bye week falls, I think.
All right. Well, yeah, and we'll see the schedule this week, so that'll kind of help us project some things there. But Atlanta, I think not many people are expecting much out of them, rightfully so. They got a lot going on that's not really been in their favor, and so typically when teams come out of the gate, if they're losing, uh, there's like that inclination to switch it over to the rookie and see what you got. So,
Hmm.
all right. So the last pick I had in the third round that I liked was inside linebacker Leo Chenal getting picked up by Kansas City at 103. So this guy's out of Wisconsin. He's, in my opinion, a very solid, rounded inside linebacker. I think some guys are saying he needs to develop to be a full-time starter at the NFL level. I think he's, I think he's shown that he's got the physical ability to do it. He's a sideline to sideline guy, great run defender, tested well at the combine. And I think, he can even, rush the quarterback. He's got some blitz potential. I like his overall ability. I think for a third round pick, this guy offers a lot of potential for the Chiefs, and it's a position that they've really kind of needed to fill on that defense for a while. And so hopefully he can plug in that gap.
Hmm. And I had one more for the fourth round, or sorry, third round. Eyes jumped
That's
because
cool. Hit it up, man.
third round it was D'Angelo Malone,
Okay.
who's outside linebacker drafted by Atlanta. I think it's a good pick. He's physical. He's physical play style. He can basically he has the ability to more or less let's call it flatten the quarterback, and in the pass rush he can have an impact on as a rookie on third downs, and think in Atlanta in that defense they fit perfect. He fits perfectly again there.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, that and they in Atlanta, I mean, they need a lot of help. So, when you can get it in those middle rounds, that's huge for bringing your team back around. Okay, so going over to the fourth round, James. The This is actually my one and only pick of the fourth round, and hopefully you got more, but I don't know what it was when I went through the fourth round. I just kind of thought, man, I don't know, not digging a lot of these picks. I mean, not that I wasn't digging the picks, but that I guess to me the good picks were kind of like right on par. There wasn't like like a ton of like picks that I thought, oh man, that's a steal. But the one pick that I really liked was defensive tackle Perry and Winfrey from Oklahoma getting picked at 108 by the Cleveland Browns. This is he's a 6'4", 290, disruptive run defender. Um, he's got good power, violent hands, the way that he's described on ESPN. I think, his one issue is he's a little bit inconsistent as a finisher. But Cleveland, they got Myles Garrett on that defensive line. They had Jadeveon Clowney, and, my thoughts on him. They may even re-sign him, bring him back. But, I think if you can get another guy on that line, it's just going to make that defense so much more dangerous because, right now it's just basically load everybody up against Myles Garrett, and then you can kind of shut them down. They got to have some other weapons there.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that pick.
I only had one for the fourth round as well, and it was more of a fact that I like the fit in the style offense that they run, and that's again, I told you Baltimore won the draft, and that's what I decided last week. But it was Charlie Kohler at number 128 overall. Yeah, he may not have been highly touted, may not have had the stats last year, but I mean, Baltimore runs 2 and 3 tight end sets. They need tight ends outside of Mark Andrews that can catch the ball, that can leverage it over the middle and move the chains. And I think Kohler he'll be able to produce in that offense. And I think if Andrews gets hurt, which that's happened a couple times the last couple of years, where Andrews gets hurt, has to miss some time, I think Kohler can take over as the number 1 tight end and not see much of a decline in production from the tight end position in that offense.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so moving it on to the 5th round. The first pick I had here was actually the first pick of the 5th round is quarterback Sam Howell going to Washington at 144. He's the quarterback out of North Carolina. And I see you shaking your head, James. I like that you're with me on this one. But, Howell, I mean, the way the quarterbacks fell in this draft, I think like what you're seeing here with Washington is a prime example of taking advantage of it. I mean, it's 5th round and you're getting a guy that has potential to one day be your starter. I mean, it's rare that kind of thing happens in the draft. Usually teams are chasing these quarterbacks and they're overpaying for them or overdrafting them rather. Howell slides. He's got arguably the best deep ball accuracy in this draft class. I know some of his technique needs to be refined, but he's going to have plenty of time to work all that out as he learns behind Carson Wentz, we know he's not the long-term guy in Washington. And so Howell's got a great opportunity. I think he landed in a great spot. If it works out, you're talking an amazing pick, a 5th round guy turned into a franchise starter. That's, those are like good freaking feel good stories. And you get the guy on such a deal of a rookie contract that opens up your Super Bowl window if you can get your shit together.
Yes. I'm just going to, my note is, and it's a direct quote from a draft analyst on the Howell pick. We all know the Commanders' selection of Howell reminded me of the Seahawks drafting Russell Wilson.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking it, but I didn't want to say it.
Howell's delivery, strong arm, willingness to run if needed, and on the field leadership also remind me of Wilson. I mean, that's all you have to say about Sam Howell.
Yeah.
And he was my favorite pick in probably of any of these picks we're talking about, he was my favorite pick. Like I thought he could theoretically have been a 1st rounder.
Yeah, a lot of guys mocked him in the 1st round, at one point or another. And it's this was just such a strange year the way these guys fell, but I think he landed in a great spot,
Mm-hmm.
especially with them going after Dotson in the first round too. Now they got McLaurin, Dotson, Curtis Samuel. They got Logan Thomas at tight end. They got their running backs. I mean, it's like, wow, man. I mean, he could really be going into a really good situation if and when he's ready to take over that starting job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who else did you like from fifth round here, James?
I the other person I liked in the fifth round, and this is because his knocks are similar to knocks that Orlando Brown had coming into the draft, who was drafted in the third round when he was drafted. But it's Darian. Sorry, the I look like an L for a second. Darian Kennard,
Oh yeah,
guard to the Kansas City Chiefs. He's got strong hands. He's
big guy.
he's a big guy, long arms, massive strong hands. And once he's locked on, defenders don't get away. He's probably going to come into the season as a starter at guard for them. And I think it's a huge bargain to get their starting offensive guard in the fifth round, considering how shitty that offensive line has looked since their last Super Bowl.
Yeah, and they've been pumping some money into it too. I
Mm-hmm.
tell you, with this guy, man, when I watch him, it just like he looks like a fucking Pro Bowl guard, man. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he just has that appearance of like, wow, this guy is like a physically imposing Mauler-looking kind of dude. And yeah, I'll say this, James, and we say this a lot, almost every year, is that you can find quality offensive linemen late in the draft. And, if you're a team, you should always be taking swings on the offensive line later in the draft, especially on those interior positions. And I think that was a great pick there. So the other guy I liked in this round was cornerback Tariq Woolen. He was picked 153 by Seattle. And this is a cornerback out of UTSA. This guy, man, big size, 6'4", 205 pounds. And I believe he ran like in the 4.2-ish range 40s. It was like blazing speed for how tall he was.
4.26.
4.26. I mean, blows my mind. And
This
so,
was my last guy in the fifth round. So
so I'm sniping him from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just in today's game, you want to have these taller cornerbacks, but you want to have them if they can get the speed to go with it, because you've got these big, fast receivers. And I know it's actually starting to change a little bit. It's coming back the other way, but I think this was a great pick for Seattle, and he offers that kind of ceiling where he could develop into a long-term starter. He's got to work on his inconsistency for sure, but the potential's there. And for
Yeah.
fifth round, that's all you want, is have the potential.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of technical refinement, but I mean, he has huge upside in both press and zone.
Nice. All right. Anybody else from the fifth round, or was that it, James?
No, that was my last one from the fifth round.
All right. Well, then why don't you kick off the sixth round so I'm not sniping you again?
All right. In the sixth round, I think my favorite one is I don't know how to know Kaonte Ingram.
Okay.
Kia. That's an E. Sorry. Wow. I need to get new glasses. So he was drafted at number 201 overall, and I mean, to the Cardinals, who just lost Chase Edmonds, and I think he has rushing receiving skills to replace Chase Edmonds with the Cardinals. He can take over the workhorse when the inevitable happens and James Conner misses time. He runs through contact, and he'll probably probably see a lot of work this season, which is how we wish the Cardinals used Chase Edmonds. I
Yeah,
think they could potentially, if they use him like we wanted the Cardinals to use Chase Edmonds, he could be one of those guys. Plus, it's a running back, which you don't want to draft a running back in the first round because he's automatically like the fourth highest paid running back if you draft him in the first round in the
that's
higher round.
true. Yeah. Yeah, nowadays, running backs, most teams, it's like a dime a dozen thing. So,
Mhm.
yeah, you got to watch where you're spending your money, basically. Look at what it's doing to Dallas, man. It's got him hamstrung with Zeke.
Yeah, exactly. The
Okay.
Giants trying to trade Saquon and can't even find anyone to.
Yeah. Yeah, if it doesn't work, you're stuck, man. And I mean, honestly, I'm worried about what's going on in Carolina. Is McCaffrey gonna get back to form or what? And I mean, he can do it. He just keeps getting hurt. But all right, so sixth round. This was the hardest round for me to pick a guy. To be honest, I thought. So I know, fourth round. I really there were a lot of picks I liked, but I thought they were like appropriately placed. Sixth round, I really honestly, a lot of these picks, I kind of thought, geez, I don't know, man. I could have like scrutinized a lot of them in a lot of different ways. This one pick, I picked it because of a versatility thing, but it's Jamari Salyer, the offensive guard out of Georgia. He was picked 195 overall by the Chargers, and he's a big guy, 6'3", 321. He's played all five positions on the offensive line, likely going to be playing guard for the Chargers. Physical tone setter, good power, solid in the run game. But, he does have some issues in this game. He gets a little high with his pads when he's on the move, limited mobility, limited range. But I think for this late in the draft, this guy may not come in and be a starter, but I think he gives you sort of like that swing ability where if you have a guy get hurt, he can at least fill that void until you figure things out. And that's depth is important too. And I think it's good to point out with this pick actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of glad that I got this guy in this round. Is that you know finding a starter in a late round, it's hard to do. I mean that's why these GMs get paid a ton of money, and they get it wrong more times than not. I mean I think they say first round picks are only 50-50. And the further you go in the draft, the harder it is to find guys that are going to start. And so, you don't always have to be looking for the guy that's, a potential home run hitter. This guy, maybe the ceiling's not there, but he's going to offer you a fairly safe floor where you can use him in a lot of different ways. And so it's just a different strategy is all I'm getting at.
Hmm. The only other pick I had in the sixth round, we're still in the sixth round, right?
Yes.
It was Jasir Taylor, who was DB drafted by the Chargers. Look, the Chargers needed a nickel corner, and I think he fits that bill perfectly. He can play physical. While at Wake Forest, he played mostly outside. He changed the direction ability for the two-way routes. I just think he's a good fit for what the Chargers were looking for, and for a nickel corner, getting him in the sixth round, I think it has a lot of value to it.
Nice. Nice. I like that. Okay, so let's kick it over to the seventh round, James. And I'll give you my favorite pick here. I'll start it off. Is the offensive guard from Michigan, Andrew Stuber, went number 245 overall to the New England Patriots. Tall guy, 6'7", good size, 325. Fundamentally sound run blocker. Gets into position, leans on defensive linemen, long arms, big frame. I mean, this guy is, I'm just looking at his notes here on ESPN. Predominantly played right tackle at Michigan, has starting experience at guard, where he's projected to be best in the NFL. The Patriots, they took Cole Strange in the first round. I think this is basically insurance for that. If that guy doesn't pan out the way Belichick hoped, I think Stuber has the potential to start in the NFL. Maybe not right away, but I don't think he's far off from getting there. And if you can find a guy like that in the seventh round, that's a great deal. I honestly, I'm a little bit shocked that this guy went this late in the draft.
Now, the seventh round I thought was hard because a lot of these players I didn't do much, get that much of a deep dive into them. It was more of a fit thing for it, but I really liked Chris Paul, drafted number 230 overall. He was listed as a guard. The last 2 seasons at Tulsa, he played right tackle. The 2 seasons before that, he started at right guard. So all 4 years he started on the offensive line. He has from what I'm reading, spectacular pass protecting skills. He has lower body power and aggressive nature to move people. I think this is a excellent pick for Washington. You got a guard or possibly a tackle depending on where you want to play him, and that's one of the things Washington needs is to rebuild that offensive line, and
Yeah.
I like this pick.
Yeah, no, I'm good with it. And honestly, James, I'll tell you what, without going into detail on all these guys, I liked a lot of the offensive line picks in the seventh round. I like Thayer Munford out of Ohio State. I like Rasheed Walker out of Penn State. And I liked Marquise Hayes out of Oklahoma. I think all these guys landed on a good team with a good opportunity. And I guess I can probably just skim here and let you know where they landed just since I brought them up. But let's see. Munford ended up with the Raiders. Their offensive line, they've got some holes now. We already talked about Stuber. Rasheed Walker ended up with the Packers. They need some help on the offensive line. He's got potential there. Let's see. Hayes with the Cardinals. Honestly, this was like a great draft to take your shot on the offensive line later on.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
All right. Anybody else in the seventh round that you like there, James?
The only other one, and it's more of because he wasn't talked about like at all, and it surprised me because out here in California, a lot of times on Saturdays, you'll see Cal games on TV, and it seems like every time I turned on a Cal game last season, and they were on defense, this guy was around the ball. No matter where the ball was, this guy was making the tackle right there, and he probably wasn't picked too high because he was kind of had a slow 40 time. But it's Cameron Good, who was drafted by Miami as outside linebacker. I think he'll make an impact initially on special teams, but could play inside or outside linebacker for Miami as a rookie or as his career progresses.
Gotcha. Yeah. No. Hey, that's a nice pick, and yeah, those guys, especially those linebacker positions, man, you got to be able to play special teams early in your career if you want to have that opportunity to even get a starting job at some point. And so that's a good assessment there. Well, cool, man. I like these picks, and when I was going through it, I was looking at a lot of the ESPN rankings and some of the way they graded out some of these guys, and it's like I remember like looking at Tariq Woolen, and it's like, man, he was like a high 70s or something, and like everybody around him in that round was like 60s or lower, and it's like, okay, right there you could say that's pretty good value, even though it's just one grade on a guy, but there's so many different ways of looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, hey, why don't we let's move it on here. Let's do our question of the week, James. And so we were talking about Brady earlier. He's the freaking GOAT. He's basically taken over the world. He almost bought the freaking Dolphins. He's got this like monster contract, in the booth coming up when he retires. He's doing all sorts of crap with crypto and whatever other stuff in his life. This is a very foolish, silly question, but I'm going to ask it. Will Tom Brady eventually take over for Madden, as in the football game?
No.
I mean, if anybody was ever going to take over the
Yeah.
Madden
Right.
brand, I mean, it would probably have to be the GOAT, right?
See, I thought you were going to go a different way with this question, so I did some research on the fly, and but so I don't think anybody will ever take over the Madden brand. He might be
Belichick?
Madden will always be the name behind the brand, but Brady might be the face behind the brand
Okay.
type of thing. I thought what you were going to ask was something a little different. I'll let you give your answer, and then I'll
No,
I'll ask my secondary question of the week.
I was just being foolish with the question because it's like Tom Brady's just going to take everything he wants. But um, I would hope that the Madden name brand never changes. I love it the way it is. John Madden, freaking crazy all-time legend. And I've been playing that game since I was a kid, man. So I mean, it'd just be a travesty if it ever changed. But I just thought it'd be fun to ask the question. Where did you think I was going with it?
I thought you were going to ask what current player besides Tom Brady do you think would be good in the booth?
Oh, all right. Who do you think there?
And my first instinct, I came across, I thought of a couple of them. I just did a quick research on it. And some people would be good, but I think the best person that's currently in the NFL that's not Tom Brady would be Lamar Jackson, and that's just because, like, if you have you ever listened to Lamar Jackson's press conferences?
Not enough, apparently.
Dude has no filter. He says what's on his mind. He
So,
just
so,
says
so,
it.
so you want it for the abrasiveness.
Not necessarily the abrasives. I just think it would be fucking entertaining as hell to have the color commentator say that was a jacked up stupid ass play. What the
uh,
fuck are they doing here? Like
yeah,
like you
they
you
got to
you don't.
bleep him out.
Yeah, I just think it would be entertaining.
Well, yeah, no. See, I guess when you asked that question, the first name that popped into my head was Kirk Cousins. I thought, okay, the quarterbacks are a good logical fit because they're so highly intelligent about the game. And then I thought Cousins, we know just the way that he's developed in the league, super smart, knows what's going on. But I'd like to see some non-quarterbacks get in there, and my gut's telling me there's, this he's not in the league anymore, but I'd like to see, like a guy like Luke Kuechly, the linebacker from the Panthers, man. Like,
Oh,
could
that'd
he
be
be
fun.
doing that? Because he was phenomenal, man. And to be that inside linebacker, you got to be a super smart guy, man. And so, it'd be nice to see some other positions get that kind of a nod.
The other one I would I would think of would be what's his face? Taylor Lewan. Because come on,
Okay.
offensive linemen make great analysts.
Yeah.
Like look at Joe Thomas. Look at who else is there?
Well, you got Sean O'Hara. You got um, what's the dude that was from the Colts? He was doing it, probably still is. Yeah, a lot of the offensive linemen they do good with it too. I like Joe Thomas, man, and I can't believe how much he cut himself down weight wise.
Uh-huh.
It's just like, geez, man, that guy. He really. I mean, it's a wise thing to do. Like when you're when the playing time is over, man, you don't want to be carrying that extra weight if you don't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's fun. That's a good one to do. I'll have to think more about that one. All right, cool. Well, so yeah, I mean, hey, for anybody who's watching, answer our question of the week. We got a couple of them tonight, and play name that stadium with us. It's fun getting some engagement here. And it's the off season, so we're desperate to have some interaction. And so, yeah. Aside from that, we hope you liked the show. If you did, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button or thumbs up or whatever. And James, like always, man, it was a good time.
All right, sounds good.
I'll catch you later, man.
Yep. Have a good one.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut hut hike.